Hello and welcome to Barbara's podcast. This is the show for women, all about health, nutrition, and wellness. It's the show that will empower you and inspire you to create a healthier lifestyle.
Focus, a holistic nutritionist, and I'm very excited to introduce Amita Sharma. She's the co-founder of NourishDoc, a global holistic wellness platform for peri to post-menopausal women. Welcome, Amita.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Super excited to talk about this topic.
I know. I have a lot of women out there that will be very curious to hear what we're going to talk about. So, well, let's just start about how can you share the inspiration behind co-founding NourishDoc and your mission to bring affordable holistic wellness to peri post-menopausal women worldwide?
So the inspiration, it didn't happen overnight. I have to say that. I was a very busy woman. I am still a very busy person, working in the high tech and a lot of stress, a lot of deadlines, and started getting these strange symptoms, which I was completely caught unaware of.
Yes.
And I couldn't focus at work. My everything what you hear about, I couldn't sleep at night, and then in the morning, I had a hard time trying to focus. I would forget a little bit things here and there. All those things that you hear in one of the articles, I was going through that hot flash, or suddenly the hot flash would come and completely take me unaware.
By surprise, yeah.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of us. And the strange thing is, we know that menopause is the cessation of our periods, so menstruation. But most of the women don't understand that the perimenopause can be a very challenging time. And that usually can happen 7 to 10 years or maybe earlier before you hit menopause. And that's
Yes.
exactly what was happening to me. And I'm like, what? What is, nobody tells you that what you're going to go through before you hit menopause, right? So that's when I'm always a little bit of a holistic person. So I started digging a little bit into it, and I didn't find anything. So the long story short, I kind of, the more I dig into it, the more I found that it's such a challenging period. There's not much research around it. It's underserved women. And on top of that, if you start digging a little bit more deeper into the women of minority women, ethnicity, cultural sensitive, there's not much out there. And that's when I started. And taboo, I said, well, someone has to talk about it. Someone has to come out with something. So that's when this whole inspiration started of how do you bring an affordable one. And then you look at, there are a lot of functional medicine doctors, but if you do a consultation, testing, all that, it runs to thousands of dollars. We can afford it, but majority of women cannot afford to do that, spend $2,000-3,000 on just getting a testing and consultation. So those were some of the, little satellites or pointers that were coming to me. How do you bring it out so that every woman in the world can have access to a credible, trusted information?
Absolutely. And I agree with you that menopause is such a taboo subject. Yes. Globally. How do you envision breaking down these barriers, and why is it crucial for women to prioritize self-care during this phase of life?
So I'll tell you, I'll share with you some statistics in United States. Globally, my statistics might not be very accurate, but in United States, 80% of the women over 55 years have one chronic condition. Yeah. And there's a lot of data that correlates the lack of care during the perimenopausal years and how the chronic condition can surface as we women start aging beyond our menopause, menopause time.
Yes.
Right.
You also have increased risk of heart attack, cancer.
Yes. Yes,
So,
absolutely. Osteoporosis, dementia, diabetes, all these things can culminate if women are not careful to, specifically during this time of the, their challenging time, what we're
okay.
talking about. And most of us don't understand how to take care of ourselves. So, and then if you start peeling the layers and go into some of the areas globally where this is considered completely taboo, and if I share with you some of the data points, it's alarming. For instance, Sudan, which is a predominantly Muslim country, the age of the menopause is mid 40s,
Oh,
and and that's not good. The early, basically, because you're losing your female sex hormones earlier than you're supposed to lose. The average age should be 51, 52 for most of the women, but the cultural sedentary lifestyle, the cultural part, can push the age of the menopause earlier. That, as I shared with you the data in Sudan, as well as in a country like India, the age of the women is 46, 47. So even here in United States, Latina women and African American women mostly reach menopause earlier in 47, 48, as opposed to 51, 52. So what I'm trying to say is there are so many nuances to the kind of lifestyle that you have led before, the ethnic groups that you have come from. The age could be, one is the age of the menopause, that could be earlier. The second thing is the severity of the symptoms or the type of symptoms you face also can be different. For instance, hot flashes are more severe in some ethnic groups than others. So depending on the type of ethnic group you're coming from, you should, I mean, so that is something that we women should be aware, and that we could hit menopause earlier, and that could be a problem. Early menopause is a problem for sure, because you have depleted your, hormones much earlier than you were supposed to do at age 52.
I wonder why that happens. Why does that happen? That they've
So I
depleted
think,
hormone
yeah,
or
there's not much research. There's not much research. That's exactly the point.
yeah. Well, I think the takeaway from this is to point out how important it is to prioritize self-care.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think, yeah.
I think some of these cultures are also very um, conservative for women, sedentary lifestyles. I think a little bit more stress levels in the families. That is the research that I have read. Stress is directly related to how our body functions.
Yeah.
A lot of family stress, a lot of. So I think these are some of the attributions, but I didn't find a single research as to why it is happening, like the concrete data or the clinical trials, if that's what we are talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I think one of the causes that makes sense to me is also perhaps women who haven't had many children. So if they've only had one child, that means that they've released their eggs a lot sooner than women who have had, two, three, or more children. That it could be a reason why they go into menopause a lot later.
Yeah, it's the jury is still out, to make conclusion. But the point is that we women during this phase, the self-care, it becomes more important because of all the reasons that we are talking about, the relationship to the chronic condition, more ethnic groups getting earlier age, which is not good because the risk of chronic conditions increasing astronomically. So if we don't pay attention, all these risks are there, what we are talking about.
Yes, that's absolutely. So going back to your platform, NourishDoc, it focuses on evidence-based and culture-sensitive holistic wellness programs. How do you tailor your programs to address the diverse needs of women around the world experiencing menopause?
So we are launching right now one ethnic group at a time or one language at a time. Eventually, we want to reach all the global women because this, like I said, it is so complicated. So what the way we have done it is that, for instance, we're using technology and a human touch to guide women through this process.
Okay.
So, for example, some of the data I talked about, the Latino women and the African American women, for instance, we start in United States. If they, one of these women log on to our platform, we will show them the data which I'm sharing with them, so that they're more aware of the different ethnic groups that they belong to. And
Yes.
for example, some of the symptoms that we can share with them, that other women from their ethnic backgrounds are more prone to these kind of symptoms, so they are not caught by surprise, and they can start taking care of themselves. So the way we have structured our platform is, for instance, we ask the women whether they're perimenopausal or postmenopausal, and we ask them the ethnic group. So based on these two criteria, we can, and the symptoms, right? These three things. So once we know, then we can we start showing them simple, bite-sized, actionable things that they can take care of themselves. For instance, if someone is suffering from sleep, so all the data, all the video, plus the quiz, plus the other information will be coming to sleep, and the correlated things. If you don't sleep well, what can happen? So the women can guide themselves to quite a bit of point with
Yeah.
some, and if they need a one-on-one support, then we have experts, like for instance, a sleep expert or someone like a naturopathic doctor. Then it's the test and consult we were talking about earlier, that also we are trying to keep it uh, affordable, so that women can pay on a monthly basis and get more holistic plan that's personalized to them based on their testing, whether it's blood test or urine test.
Yes.
So the starting point is less than $10 a month. I think all of us can say that we can let
So,
go one cup of coffee,
yeah.
right?
Well, I think it's amazing what you're offering, because there are a lot of women out there that need help but think twice about asking for help, because they might think they can't afford it. So I think it's wonderful. It's wonderful what you're doing. So going back to self-care, how would so what are your favorite herbs and spices that you've
Mhm.
used to help you deal with menopause or peri?
Yes, perimenopause. Yeah, no, I started growing a herb factory in my stomach. I have to be honest with you,
Me too. That's what.
and that's not what I'm recommending, by the way. I think because I thought I did enough research, I was capable of making these decisions. But the sensible thing is to seek guidance before you start taking herbs from from someone who understand the herbs, because herbs are also, although they're natural, but they can interact with some of the things right inside our body.
Yes.
But if you ask the question, my favorite herbs, I actually take triphala every single day. I'm sure you're aware of triphala.
I'm aware of it. It's great. Yeah.
It's great for digestion, the gut health. Gut health during this time is very important, because our gut health and mental health is directly related. We know the vagus nerve, so keeping your gut clean and cleansed is super, super important. So for gut health, I take triphala every single day in the morning. Actually, I have an herbal tea, and then in that I put a little bit triphala, a little bit of ashwagandha. Ashwagandha has ton of research as well for
Yeah.
helping with anxiety for women,
I
right?
used ashwagandha. It really helped. I had all
Mhm.
these feelings of feeling overwhelmed, and it was something I'd never experienced before in my life. And definitely ashwagandha did calm me down.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
incredible.
same here. It's incredible. I'm actually, I have felt better during the perimenopausal years after I made these changes than before. It's a
Before. Yeah.
strange thing to say, but that is what, because I started taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's a wake up call. It's something that I realized, that as soon
mhm.
as you think, oh my goodness, my body's changing. I've got increased risks of A, B, C, D. I think I really need to up my game now and really look after myself. Otherwise, you're very high risk, you know? So for me, it was kind of a wake up, and then seeing how I was affected in all these different ways, whether I got, with feeling overwhelmed, bloating, just all these different symptoms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bloating is so common for all of us. And you can't get rid of this meno tummy, right? Meno fat, what we call about meno belly, right?
No belly, yeah, you've got to, yeah, that takes a lot of hard work. I found with a lot of exercise, and you've got to reduce your carbs, I think. And I always joke, I said, at post-menopausal women, if we just look at cake and smell it, we put on weight. We don't even have to eat it.
That's right. That's what happens to our bodies. So I use a lot of kitchen herbs, in the morning, ginger,
Yes.
turmeric. I mean, use it in moderation, all these things, because they're heating herbs, and then I put lemon juice, and then, like I said, some of the herbs, and I have a herbal tea. Then
So
some of the other herbs,
I was
just to
help
cleanse my system.
your system and the liver. It's a good way to start the day.
Yeah, detoxification, normal process. Make sure that bowel movements are regular on a daily basis. So these are the trifla, and what I said is excellent for the digestion.
Yeah.
Then I use a lot of herbs in my cooking. For instance, cinnamon, right?
Yes.
Fenugreek seeds, then oregano, cilantro, parsley, all these things. Cumin, black pepper, Himalayan salt, all these things are part of my cooking on a daily basis. It's not like special. So I learned actually how to cook very healthy, because I wanted to use all these herbs, and these are all healing herbs in cooking on a daily basis.
On a daily basis. I know the Mediterranean diet, at least we include a lot of herbs as well, which is great. We're not cooking. So
Yes.
the same as your cuisine as well.
Yeah. And Mediterranean diet has ton of research to help with heart disease, right?
Yeah.
Because and you can speak more than me, but ton of research that Mediterranean diet for women during this phase is really great. In addition to the plant-based diet.
Yeah. It's good for your heart, good for your bones, good for your mental state. It's anti-inflammatory, so there's a lot of benefit in the Mediterranean diet. I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about, the statistics. About 60% of menopausal age women going through divorce in the UK. That's a striking amount.
Mhm.
And how can women build confidence and resilience to navigate relationship challenges, especially considering the impact of symptoms like low libido and mood swings?
Yeah, so see, we women don't like to talk about our problems to any, I mean, maybe to other women, but in the family, we
Yeah.
we kind of, I know myself, project this image of a super woman, super mom, or whatever you want to call it, at
Yeah.
home, right?
Yes.
Most of us are the same all over the world. It is so strange. No matter who I've talked to in the world, they all have the same kind of like, oh, I can take care of my family. So I think it's important for us to let go and seek help. Fundamental change in our behavior as women. And that's also one of the, like, loss of libido is one of the symptoms. You talked about that. Mood swings is one of the symptoms. So we need to seek help to take care of our sexual health as well, which we should not ignore. Partner or no partner, it doesn't matter. It's another part of our body which we cannot say, oh, now this function is over. So I think whatever you feel comfortable as a woman, to make sure to take care of your sexual health, and also emotional health. This all goes hand in hand. Very important to release your feeling. Emotional digestion, if you keep your feelings all pent up inside, whatever it is, whether it is a relationship with your spouse or your partner, then it's going to just culminate into more stress, and you're not talking about it. So I think resilience managing during this phase is also very important to talk about. CBT is one of the therapies, cognitive behavioral therapy, that has actually evidence to help women through perimenopause, menopause phase. So does hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy also has evidence that it helps women to go through all this phase. So I think seeking help in these therapies, there is nothing wrong with this CBT or hypnotherapy or other these, right? And that will help take all these negative emotions that you can pent up, and loss of confidence also, because all these feelings can come to you. I know it has come to me. But so seeking help, number one, is taking some of these therapies that I'm talking about. These are all holistic therapies. Even acupuncture can help. So that is the way to step forward for the women if they're facing loss of libido or mood swings, all these things.
Yes. I think it's about time that we lifted this taboo on women losing their libido during menopause. It has to be talked about. It has to be expressed, and women should not be made to feel bad about it. That there are some solutions if one looks into it.
So I think the issue is also that how men's sexual health is so glorified, like Viagra, right? As an example. And nobody, it's the society also, nobody comes up with the women's drug. Oh, boost your sexual health, start taking Lady Viagra.
They haven't come up with a bright pink pill. It's only a blue one.
Exactly. They talk about, so I think it all has to do with the media and the society, how society values, looks at women, right? They don't, how should I say it in a nice way, that they always, say, oh, men's sexual health is so important, so it's okay for men to take Viagra, but nobody from a media talks about women's sexual health, and nothing comes out on any of the ads or anything that you see. And then you say, oh, it's okay if I don't have a loss of libido is natural. That's also the perception in the society we are living in globally now.
Well, there's a lot of education that has to be done around, I think, the topic of menopause and all its branches.
Yeah, it's very complicated. And a
Yeah.
lot of it has to do with our head, emotions, mindset. So we have to have a very positive mindset. That's so important, to let go of the negative feelings, to let go of all the trauma that you might have had growing up as a kid or as teenager. So once you feel lighter, and then I think you need to be open with your partner as well, whatever is going on, so you can solve this together as keeping it to yourself and then drifting apart, right?
Yeah. Which you don't want. There's, I think, a lot of work's got to be done there, and with a lot of understanding from your partner too.
Absolutely. You see so many menopausal women, they feel they haven't lived their life. I mean, I personally know, few of them, and they say, oh no, I'm leaving my husband. I want to live my life. What does that mean? After 30 years of being together, you suddenly want to live like a free bird. So I think it's because you have been pent up feelings for 30 years of your marriage, whatever it is. I'm everybody knows what's going on in their marriage.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you feel, oh, I need to break loose. So I think we women do not express our inner feelings. I'm not we do that to other women, our
Yes.
friends, our girlfriends, but we don't do that to our family. That's what I'm saying.
I think you've got a valid point there. It's it's true. It's very hard, I think, as women to open up and share our absolute inner feelings and wishes with our family. subjects. Can you elaborate on the holistic wellness and lifestyle offerings provided by NourishDoc?
Yeah, absolutely. Sexual health is a part of our program as well, by the way. We didn't want to leave this out. I so yeah, because I think it's important. We don't want people getting divorced. The divorce rate should come down. But jokes apart, the whole idea is we've taken these evidence-based all holistic therapies because we feel that the first line of defense should be holistic. We're not against popping a pill. We're not saying don't that everything has a place, but our approach is that first step should be the lifestyle. You need to change your lifestyle, so that includes your nutrition, like you are a nutrition expert. Your exercise, the type of exercise you do also changes because you are losing bone mass as you get older, so the type of exercises also change. Yoga is great. We have bite-sized things that you could do yoga. Breathing is amazing. Breathing has ton of research that it can help you get with emotional stress and all the stress level that is associated with it. Also with gut health, so many things. Breathing is that. I talked about the CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Then I talked about hypnotherapy, aromatherapy. Essential oils are great to help you calm down. Acupuncture, acupressure, so many things, right? We have actually a lot of tools, but we don't know how to put it together. And that's what we are trying to do is all these tools. I didn't talk about the energy medicine, the EFT, the tapping,
Oh, yeah, that's great.
so these and herbs, we talked about the herbs a little bit, herbs and supplements. So there are about 9 or 10 these holistic therapies that we can draw from to really change our lifestyle and change our daily routine so that we get into the habit of taking care of ourselves. You talked about letting go of carbs, right? Nutrition is huge. We need to change our nutrition quite a bit, letting go of red meat and no tequila parties at 2 a.m. with girlfriends.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is there a module or a part on the sexual health too?
Yes, absolutely. So sexual health, there is a part because there are certain type of exercises. There, all the things that I was talking about. There is a complete section on the sexual health. There's also a complete section on pelvic health. Urinary incontinence is another one of the issues, but that we can get embarrassed that a lot of women face UTI or urinary incontinence. Some of them might have to wear pads. So there is a way you can strengthen your pelvic floor, what we call, right, or pelvic health. And that also, if your pelvic core is strong, that will also help in your sexual health because you're strong out there. So there's a lot of correlation. And then, like I said earlier, the sexual health and the libido is also connected with your emotional health. So all this, we can't think of our body as one part, like, how compartmentalized
it's all connected. It's all connected.
Yes.
It's definitely libido is connected to how you feel about your body, so that definitely it's all interconnected. We can't compartmentalize.
Exactly. Libido is how you feel about yourself, especially for women. If you do the research, they are very emotional about this whole sexual health. It's not like men. I mean, because our body parts are different, how we get aroused and all those things. So it's a lot to do with how we feel, how our emotional health, how our mental health. If you're feeling good, all those things come into play. So that's why the emotional health, the gut health, and then it comes to the gut health. We talked a little bit about that, right?
Yes.
So all these things are interrelated. If we don't take care of all these things, guess what? We won't, the sexual health and other things also get affected.
Well, we're coming to the end of our podcast. So in closing, is there something that you would like to share? And also, where could our listeners get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I would say, I know this podcast is for busy women. One thing I would say to all the busy women is self-care, self-love, self-worth. Sometimes we can feel that, as we are aging at work, we don't feel as confident and all those things. But it is important for self-love and self-worth. Give yourself permission to love yourself, right?
Yes, I think
And
it's number one.
yeah, we don't give ourselves permission to love ourselves. We try to take care of others, which I'm not saying don't stop doing it, but do it for yourself. So that would be my closing. And NourishDoc is coming out with the app at the end of February. So check us out, our website, www.nourishdoc.com, or you can send us an email, hello@nourishdoc.com. So I hope women will join me and start taking care of themselves.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Well, thank you very much for being such a lovely guest. You gave us a lot of things to think about and to digest. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Barbara's podcast. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter or e-courses. Celebrate life, and see you at the next episode.